Everybody better for the better podcast, and happy new year. 2025 was a very good year for Blood Bowl fans because we got ourselves the third season. So a brand new box, a brand new team, a brand new set of rules with a big old refresh. So I think we can call 2025 in the world of Blood Bowl a pretty good time. And you know, we've played a lot of season 3 games now on the channel, off the channel, games we've published. We've played some 7s, and we are very much well into filming the Bonehead Championship 2, which is going to be coming out in the next couple of weeks. Now, everything is not solved, and what is true for one person may not be true for another, but I think it's time we talked about the truth behind Blood Bowl Season 3. Or rather, the 3 truths about Blood Bowl Season 3. So there are 3 things that we have noticed or come to terms with or think we can kind of lock in as being like, yep, that is the case when it comes to this edition. And the first one is the rules. So the rules themselves. Now, this is an interesting point. And some of you will disagree, because if you're on the Facebook Blood Bowl community or other parts of the internet, you will definitely see some things that are like, what the FAQ? Does this mean? Or is this worded well? Like, there's definitely going to be some things in this rulebook that we're not 100% clear on. The one that makes me laugh is the does rain affect picking up the ball when you secure the ball action. Like, that's a quality one. And the first truth is that, quite frankly, the rules are better this edition. Like, they're just better. Like, there was nothing massive. That's not true. There was a couple of things massively wrong with the 2020 edition, and they've been fixed. There's some bits of the 2025 edition that, you know, have got a little bit worse, maybe, or aren't quite there, or aren't quite perfect. But I think it's very fair to say, I think it's actually inarguable, in my opinion, after playing so much Blood Bowl, that, yeah, there's some bits that need to be tidied up in the way of, like, FAQs and stuff like that. But the rules for this edition, the core game, the way you play the game, is just much better. While the inaccurate is gone, secure the ball gives you more options. The way the SPPs work has improved. But what I would say is that not everything is better. And this is, I suppose, the most important part when it comes to talking about Blood Bowl and talking about any kind of game you play. There is no perfect game, because it's not possible to make a game that is perfect for everybody. Some people are going to look at this and go, I don't like this as much as I used to, or I hate this game. And there's going to be some people like me who go, actually, do you know what? This is pretty decent. Like, if 2020 was a 7.5 out of 10, 2025 is an 8.3 out of 10. I think in general, the rules just straight up got better. There's still space to get better, but they can't produce a game that is perfect for absolutely everybody. So what we like on the channel is probably not what those people who prefer the competitive angle to like. We like a bit of narrative. So the fact there's now hatred, we love it. We've house ruled that hatred is automatic in the Bonehead Championship, where the MVP has changed. Like, there's a lot of stuff that's changed that you can just house rule to your liking. But as a core standard, I think the start point is better than it used to be. Now, I'm still a bit gutted that we lost random secondaries, but there are some points where that may have been a bit of a problem. Like us, we loved it because it was basically goblins that were getting us a random secondary. But if you're plowing through BB3 online games, then actually getting a 6 SPP and trying to score guard to fudge it through at a cheaper cost to make the game more miserable, I can see things like that just not being the best as a default. But the cool thing about Blood Bowl is you play it with your friends, you play it with your local league. There's probably going to be a group of you that can adjust the rules to your liking. But my point is, the rules for this edition got better. They may not be perfect for everybody, but I think they got better on the whole, and that's a big thumbs up for me. So the first truth for Blood Bowl Season 3 is that, quite frankly, the rules are just better. And truth number 2, this is a tough one. The teams got significantly changed in Season 3. You'll know that, but just in case you don't, like, there's a lot of teams, 8, 9, 10 teams that have lost positionals. And there's some teams that, quite frankly, now are just very different teams. Humans and Skaven, and Orcs, they just play differently. They're not necessarily better or not necessarily worse. They just play differently. And the truth of the matter is, that it is probably a good thing, but that it's okay for it to feel like it sucks a bit. Like, you guys know I'm a massive Skaven player. And Skaven they're still fine, they're still serviceable, but they're different. You don't get 4 gutter runners. You don't get to do that anymore. And all the elf teams that have lost their additional catches, they've lost a bit of flexibility. The humans have lost a bit of flexibility in the way they build. Orcs have lost a bit of the burliness, the inevitability. Like, dwarves have just lost the way they played. There's a whole bunch of teams in here that are just different now by virtue of the way they play out. And it's good and bad. Like, and the truth of the matter is that it sucks, but it's actually a bit better in some places and worse in the others. So I think this is one of those things where it's better for the game because it provides a bit of a refresh and you have to relearn those teams, and it's a different, like, the egregious stuff is gone in a lot of places, like playing against 4 Dark Elf Blitzers, playing against 4 Gutter Runners. Like, yeah, all right, I'll give you that the play experience against that may not have been quite so good. And that's the truth of the matter, is that some of the teams got hurt. Some of the teams got worse. And there's a lot of players like me out there that kind of go, I love the rules of this edition, but I miss my team. And that is okay. And that's not going to change. But the real win here is that we say there's 10, 12 teams that got changed in this edition. And that can be whether it's like dwarves whose skills got topsy-turvied, whether it's Skaven or humans and orcs whose positionals got reduced, or whether it's the way star players get dealt. So halflings can no longer take Griff. There's a lot of stuff that's changed. Like, there's a real, they moved my cheese when it comes to playing the teams. But I think the win here is that, and this is going to come into point 3, which is the biggest point, and I think that the real truth behind the 3rd season is that it provides a better onboarding experience. It provides a little bit more of a parity. There's only 2 teams that kind of, all right, there's 5 teams at least that stand out and go, man, they're good in this edition. There was the case last. It's just different teams. So yes, well, point 1 is that the rule book is better. Point 2 is that the teams, it got a bit worse. Which brings me to point number 3. And this is really, I think, the big truth. And all the other points kind of line up to it. Yeah, the rules are better and the way it's themed leads towards this. And the way the teams work, some got better, some got worse. But the way you pick up a team and start a team in Blood Bowl has changed. And that leads to this point, which I think is the biggest thing that I've figured out for this edition and have yet to find anyone who massively disagrees. I know you're there and I want to hear your comments about it, because as we do these videos, they're asynchronous conversations. But for me, from looking at it, from playing it, from watching other people play from it, from talking about people who've been playing with it, from doing all the team guides, from doing all the starting rosters, the thing I can take away, and I may be wrong, but I think I'm right, is that this edition has been recrafted from the rules and the teams to be focused. And this edition feels like it's built first and foremost for people to play League and for people to play shorter leagues. And I think that's probably the right thing for Games Workshop to do. So when I mean shorter leagues, I mean 6, 8, 10 games. And I think what they've done here, when you look at the way the rules work, the fact that the SPP limits have dropped now for accessing doubles from accessing stat ups, the way that they've introduced double randoms, and if you look at the way that the team rosters have been changed, not just in the fact that you can pick up a box and play until you need another lineman, but they've front-loaded a lot of skills. Like, there's a lot of first take skills that are kind of baked in now. Like, you know, tackle is a great example. There's a whole bunch of blitzers now that get tackle to begin with, or break tackle. There's a lot of players that have gained an additional skill that you may have kind of fancied taking, but it just wasn't as good as a different skill. And if you look at the way that the team packages start, you can start off with most of what you want most of the time. and your players tend to get a little bit more skills. Your team as a whole tends to start with a little bit more of the way of skill up, so your team feels like it's already a few games in. And then the SPP thresholds are lower. You get more money from touchdowns, from not stalling. And I think it just absolutely smacks of this one play experience that it feels like the team changes and the rule changes have led to, which is Games Workshop from the third edition, well, third season, want you to be able to pick up a team, build it, take it to your league, run it for 3 to 6 months. You know, that's what I mean, 6, 8, 10 games, and then go, that was cool. I've completed that. Oh, now it's time for me to pick up another team, and I can go and pick up 1 box of humans now, and I can run the full human roster, and I start with a couple of extra skills, and then I can get the human experience. Like, I can get the orc play experience, the new orc play experience. I can get the Tomb King play experience. I can get that from 1 box. I can play it for 3 to 6 months, and then I move on to the next box. And in an environment where there are 30 teams, that means you can kind of play this edition for 7 to 15 years if you do it that way. And if you look at the SPP thresholds, if you look at the way that randoms now work, if you look at the way everything's kind of built, like, the first impression of this with the team stuff was like, all right, what am I buying? Like, in fact, you'll hear this in the championship. We get to a certain point with the Skaven team, and we're like, oh, wow, we got loads of money. What am I buying now? Like, you get to that point a lot quicker than you used to. And in some cases, that's definitely not what people are after. And I think this is why, this is the truth pill to swallow for this edition, is that the ceiling is much lower than it used to be. And if you are running a second season team, you're probably having to cut stuff because there's not a huge amount of places to go with. This is very much more about, here is the team that you are running, and level them up and then move on to your next team. I can't see this being an excellent format for Eternal Leagues. So for those of you who are like, we play a 16 game league and then we do a redraft, and like, I'm on my 7th season with this team, I don't know if this edition is actually going to be better for you. There's a lot of cool skills and there's a lot of cool stuff you can do, but quite frankly, when there's less players to buy, there's less upgrades to get. I just think you're going to go, cool, I've played this team. And unless you got so close to winning the championship, you're like, no, I'm going to bring him back because next year it's mine. I think you're going to go, no, Wood Elves were wicked. Yeah, that was really cool. But God, I don't know, I really fancy Bretonians now because I've not had a chance to run them. But Skaven are looking good. And there's always OWA. And Steve's finished playing OWA now, so no one else is playing OWA. So I might pick up OWA for the next season. And I think that's the environment we're in, which is play a team in a league, move on to the next team for the next league by picking up 1 box. And I don't hate it. Like, there's a lot of teams to play, and I think all of the teams bring something really interesting, and all of the teams bring a cool play experience and some really nice characterful player developments, and there's going to be some stories there. And if you look at this as a game where you've got 30 teams that you can run, I mean, that's what, 4 a year? That's a lot of years that you can play this without it changing. It's not the way it used to be, but that's what I think this edition is. I think this edition is designated and designed to be like, run a league team, finish the league, have it be a shorter one because you don't need it to be so long because you're starting with all the players and a bit more skills. You get that play experience quicker. And I think from a design point of view, that's actually pretty clever. I think you can pick up a team now and play it in Blood Bowl and get a good play experience and get a good experience of what that team's likely to be quite quickly. Now, the plus side is that, I say plus side, the concern, and this is something, not concern, I don't mean concern, but something that's going to be less varied now is tournament builds. But to be entirely honest with you, most teams had a solved thing. Most teams had a roster. Like, it was fun to be able to have that little bit of flexibility. Do I take 3 gutter runners so I can afford this star player? I think a lot of the tournament builds are going to be solved immediately. But again, I think that just backs up my point that I strongly believe with the addition of hatred and stuff like that this edition is absolutely targeted at short to mid-term leagues. And I think that's it. I think that's what this game is designed for. And as a player who runs short to mid-term leagues, I really am okay with that, because if you think about it from when we do the championship, that means we get to show off the teams quicker. We get to get that player experience quicker, and then we can move on to the next team quicker. So there's a lot of good stuff out of it. But I think that's the deal here, and I would be absolutely enthralled to hear what you guys think. Has match play got better? Has it got worse? Does League actually, Ben, you're wrong. Leagues now definitely look like this is a thing where you want to run a team for 3-4 seasons. I think Games Workshop had an honest look at the community and were like, how do most people do this? And we know this from running Blood Bowl leagues for like 9 years, and then before then as well. A lot of people, most people, I think, yeah, there's always a main, and if you nearly get the championship, you want to bring them back. But most people are going to be like, cool, do you know what? 4 games in, I'm not going to win this one. I'm going to start painting up my next league team. We saw it at Wobble. We saw it in Toyment. You get halfway through a league and you're already chomping at the bit to get your new player experience, to get the next team. And I think Games Workshop are like, most Blood Bowl players, there's a team they love to play, but they love to play Blood Bowl, and there's 29 other teams they want to play. So let's just give them that league experience a bit quicker, so they can complete that experience and then move on to the next one, because it helps Games Workshop, I assume, to buy more teams. Helps third parties too to buy more teams. And I just think that's what they've done. I think they've looked at it and gone, who plays Blood Bowl? How do they play Blood Bowl? Okay, how do we tap into that? How do we make this edition for those people? And I think they have done. So yeah, do let me know your thoughts in the comments below. But that is my take. And like I said at the beginning of the video, Happy New Year. Hashtag New Year, New Team and all that. I'm intrigued to see what you're playing and what your thoughts are. But for now, I'm going to wrap up. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back soon with more Blood Bowl content. Happy blocking.